630 CHED presents The Announcers. Opinion, personality, passion. The Announcers on 630 CHED, Edmonton's breaking news and conversation station.
Welcome to this week's edition of The Announcers. I'm joined by two of my favorite people in this room, Jalen Nye and Andrew Gross, co-hosts of the Afternoon News.
Favorite because we're the only two to agree to this.
Yes.
Well, I don't think we agreed to it. We just were told to do it.
Well, every single week, we get together for a series of meetings, hours long, and we determine what we're going to tackle, which topics we'll discuss here on The Announcers every Saturday morning. And Jalen, you threw one in front of us, and we went, yep. It's all the debate and the controversy around a mural, some text on the side of the Melcor building. Take a risk. It's the most Edmonton thing you can do.
Yeah, this was an article, an opinion piece written by David Staples from the Edmonton Journal, and I found it fascinating when I first read it, because I thought at first when I saw the mural, I said, yeah, Edmontonians are risk takers. You know, look where we live, look what we do, all that sort of stuff. But then I read his article, and I'm like, okay, maybe we're not. Maybe we're just a bunch of suckholes who get told what to do and just go along with it.
Ooh. Went right to the suckhole reference. That makes you very Canadian, by the way. You had an opinion, and then somebody contradicted it.
Well, no, I just read it.
You went, no,
sorry. I like the mural. I like what it says. But then when I read what David said, I thought, and I'm curious to know what you two think about it.
About the mural or the slogan? Risk takers. Are we risk takers?
Are Edmontonians risk takers?
No. That falls in the same category as some cities saying they're the funniest city in Canada, or you can say whatever you want. It doesn't make it so. It's like I always like to say, it's like Febrezing a couch. It didn't really clean it.
Except for we were the city of champions. That fit.
Yeah, that did actually fit. Yeah. That one I'll go with, and there was consensus on that, but there was nothing.
I'm stuck in the past. For sure. I still want to be the city of champions.
I don't see us as particularly more risk-taking than any other city in this country or any other. If you could come up with a couple of examples, I could be swayed.
Well, sure. I mean, tons of them.
Okay, sure. Like what?
But before I launch into this,
yeah, sure.
Because what I'm doing right now is rapidly trying to think of examples. No, but in all seriousness, I can think of a bunch, like Running Room and Melcor and PCL and I mean, all of the restaurants. But the fact of the matter is, the point I was making, Boston Pizza and Earl's and all the franchises that have started, is that we're not separate from other cities. So there are risk takers here. It's risky business to launch BioWare. It's risky business. But the fact of the matter is, there are risk takers in every city. Well, that's just it. Right? So that's why I wanted to sort of double clutch on answering that question. Is we do have risk takers here. Of course we do.
Well, right.
I mean, David Staples, he makes a good point that the Edmontonians sort of pile on Daryl Cates, or they don't celebrate the risk taking, the risks that he takes, and they are big ones. I mean, make no mistake, investing, billions of dollars, and yeah, there have been some taxpayer dollars in the arena. Save your emails. But he's invested a whole bunch of his own money.
But there's somebody like him in every major city.
I don't think so.
Well, I think there
private
might be.
Investors taking over blocks of property to reinvigorate a whole downtown.
Well, I guess that makes him a risk taker. Does it make Edmontonians risk takers? I mean, it would be just as accurate to say Edmonton, a city of streets and streetlights. I mean, very true. That's absolutely true. There's risk takers in every city. There's millionaires, billionaires in every other city. I mean, I don't see us, rather than say, give me an example of Edmontonians taking a risk, I would ask instead, edit your list and give me an example of a risk taken here that by the majority of people or by a number of people that wasn't taken anywhere else. So Oilers is, so Oilers owner, that's one.
I would go back even further, and Staples mentions it. I think Peter Pocklington, and as much as Peter Pocklington is hated pretty much in this city, that man was a risk taker. I remember hearing stories of him signing, deals, pulling the ring off of his wife's hand, putting it down on the table, saying, "Okay, this is what I'm going to buy the team for," whatever it was at that point. The risk of having the team risky here, all of the taking, but all of those things, he's hated now going back because of the business dealings that followed. But at the end of it all, we have the Oilers here because of those risks that he was willing to take.
If Peter Pocklington wasn't here, Edmontonians wouldn't have had the privilege of celebrating 5 Stanley Cup championships. Let me just throw that out there. I understand why he's vilified for obvious reasons, but keep in mind that at one point, Oilers fans were very lucky to have Peter Pocklington in the mix.
But wait a second, Ryan. So far, you've justified a roadside sign that says Edmonton, home of Peter Pocklington. I mean, we've gotten that far.
I'd like to see how long that sign would last.
Yeah, probably not.
That would be on fire in about 30 seconds.
I don't think we've made the case, though, or you've made the case for Edmonton to be thought of outside of that mural as a city of risk takers.
Yeah, and it's not my mandate, nor my goal, nor my conviction to make that case. The number one problem, and listen, I get what Make Something Edmonton is doing with this message. Yeah. I get that this is part of a civic rebrand, and it is, no matter what anyone would try to argue otherwise. But here's the point. We were told as Edmontonians that we don't need a slogan to sell our city. And so they unceremoniously removed the City of Champions signs from the entrances to Alberta's capital city. However, this, take a risk, it's the most Edmonton thing you can do, is a slogan. And it's part of a marketing rebrand. And now we're being sloganed again. And it was another, I mean, many Edmonton Journal scribes have stepped up. It was art critic Fish Grakowski's initial comment about this mural, "Man, this is lame and embarrassing," that first got people talking about this. But it was another comment from another journalist in town, Elise Stolt, who said, "People don't want or need to be told to fall in love with their city. They either do or they don't."
Well, okay, a couple of things there. We're talking about rebranding and whether there's a need to rebrand in Edmonton. So let's take a look at something iconic in another city, the Calgary Stampede. You can identify the Calgary Stampede with the city of Calgary as an iconic partnership that goes back, I don't even know how long, 100 years?
The Stampede, more than 100 years.
Yeah, okay.
When Guy Wiedeck founded it with his supporters. And
exactly. So right. And so in year 1, it was the Calgary Stampede, and in year 100, it was the Calgary Stampede. And now up here in Edmonton, we had K-Days or Klondike Days.
Oh, man.
Right. So we took a chance. We're a risk-taking city. We took a chance. We went, you know what, we're going to take an iconic, a historic name, and we're going to change it. And then we did, and then people went, we don't like it, and we went, okay, we're going to change it back. So if that...
I don't even know what the proper, what is
it's
it?
K-Days now,
okay.
I think.
Well, now, because Capital X flopped, and so they said we're returning, but we're not returning to Klondike Days. We're returning to K-Days, and now the K can stand for whatever you'd like it to stand
for. Yeah, exactly.
For.
So does that... I mean, I'm thinking about things that...
Can you hear Jalen's eyes rolling?
Right. Historically associated with a city, because you can't just decide in 2016 that this is what our city is. You have to look back over the history of it before you put up a mural and say, this is what we have been for 100 years. So in Calgary's case, it's, hey, the Calgary Stampede has been the Calgary Stampede, and we identify with it in Calgary. In Edmonton, we say... Klondike Days is actually Capital X, which is actually K-Days, because everyone called it K-Days anyways. So I'm using that as one example of no risk whatsoever. We tried a risk, and we didn't like the risk.
Maybe it was risky to kick off with Klondike Days in the first place, considering that Edmonton, aside from being a mile marker on the route up north, really had nothing to do with the Klondike.
Oh, no, it was lame from the beginning. But hang on a second, Jalen. I said I had nothing to say this week. But listen, if we don't identify them with Klondike Days as something that characterizes our city, a lot of people know Edmonton because of a sports franchise. We know it because of the Edmonton Oilers, right? So it's like, okay, so the Edmonton Oilers. Let's think of that as our identity then. Are they risk takers? And do they, they traded Taylor Hall. And everybody hates the trade. So because it was risky. So I would say actually the mural is missing a word. Not is the word. Edmonton, not risky, I would think would be more accurate. We're not risky in any way at all. And when we do take a risk, we hate it.
Was it risky for the Gramscians to build the world's biggest mall on Canada's northernmost major city?
Sure. Well,
was that risky?
Yeah, sure. Okay, well, there's one.
There's one. I mean, they're going to trickle through to me over the next little while, and we can
build a bigger one.
Yeah.
But maybe that mural on the side of the Melcor building is just a few words on the side of a building to make us feel better about ourselves and about our city as we drive by and we think about it for 5 seconds and we pat ourselves on the shoulder and go, oh, yeah, that's right, we are risk takers.
We're talking about it.
Without even really thinking about it much. But we're talking about it. My question is, do you think most people are talking about it, most people likely are driving by it or see it on the newspaper and go, oh, yeah, that kind of makes me feel good about being an Edmontonian, and just goes on with it. And if that makes you feel good about being an Edmontonian, what's the matter with that?
See, now that I
Where
think
did
about
that just come from?
I don't know, but I tell you what, you won me over a little bit, because now I'm thinking maybe we are risk takers. Is it risky to build an entire LRT system without actually thinking it through, or putting parking next to the major stops? Risky, yes, but we did it.
Is it risky to close the city center airport based on the theory of a futuristic
exactly.
neighborhood, and then without cost checking anything?
Yeah,
and
No, we've taken a lot of risks.
We've done some very risky things.
Yeah. Should we now? I know this is provincial and not civic, but should we raise the minimum age, what's it called? The
wage,
minimum wage, during a time when we're in one of the biggest economic crises of the province's history. Yes, that would be risky.
Hey,
but we did it.
Hey, you know
Edmonton.
what? We said goodbye to 40 years stories, and
that's true. Would it be risky? Hey, now, you know what? I'm with you now. Would it be risky to have a protest vote against a sitting government with the hopes that we don't elect another government? And as surprise would have it, we did. Yes, very risky. You know what? You guys are right.
The sign is right.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning into this.
Right word. Reckless might be the better word.
Is it working? Is it effective marketing? Because, we're talking about it and city columnists are talking about it. Can we state for certain that the risk of this marketing message has paid off because that wall, that mural on the Melcor building is being photographed and posted everywhere? It's probably the most common post right now on Instagram in Edmonton.
But that goes to the heart of the theory that there's no such thing as bad press. So it's being posted and talked about because a lot of people disagree.
But I see it posted in both negative and positive contexts.
Again, and I think it goes back to the positive context. It's just making us feel a little bit better about ourselves and our city.
It doesn't make me feel better about our city.
I think that's what
I
it is.
didn't look at the
People are
mural
like,
and go, you know
"Ooh,
what?
rah,
We
rah,
are
rah."
a good city. I already think we're a good city. I like living here.
What makes you feel that?
I feel comfortable here. I think Edmonton is the perfect combination of big city and small town. That's what I've always loved about it, that there's lots of opportunities here, that you can go to business here, you can create a festival here, you can do anything you want. It's not so big that it's already been done and there's not room for growth. But it's small enough that you know everybody. I mean, it's no problem to meet a politician. It's no problem. Local, is there such a thing as an untouchable local celebrity? Other than possibly
Ryan Jesperson.
Ryan, yeah.
Connor McDavid.
Oh, hey, congratulations, by the way, Ryan.
Oh, thanks,
on the
guys.
50 most influential.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Guys.
Well, I think
Folks.
you look at it. Maybe the Oilers. I think at one point the Oilers were very touchable, for lack of a better word. And you were able to have. There was a lot more access to them. Yeah, some of them. Yes, that's a whole other show.
Moving right along.
There you go. But now things are different, handled different, and that sort of thing. But I'll be honest with you. When I moved to Edmonton in December of 2000, I had no intention of making this my home.
Me as well.
I had no intention of staying here. And now I really have no intention of leaving. I don't want to leave. I've made a life here, and that's, to me, that says a lot. I feel more at home here than any other city that I've ever lived in. And to me, that's, I don't want to go anywhere. I was like, I want to go to Toronto, and the job offers come from Toronto, and you're like, I want to?
You didn't need that mural to push you over the edge then. The city did it.
The city and the people and the lifestyle did it for me.
The mural doesn't offend me. I'm not embarrassed by it. I don't see the point of it.
Well, I think the point, I guess, is to inspire people. The thing that I find very interesting is there are dueling messages. There's the official Make Something Edmonton, municipal government endorsed branding that we see, like Take a Risk. It's the most Edmonton thing you can do. And then there's also this grassroots statement that you see. How many of you have been walking through town, especially downtown, and seen someone wearing the growing more popular by the week T-shirt, Still in Edmonton? These T-shirts are for sale all through downtown. You can find it at Habitat Boutique.
I've heard the elders speak of a downtown, but I've not actually
that was
been to
risky. Once West Edmonton Mall was built, not investing in our downtown for 30 years, that was risky. But everyone is, not everyone, but many people are capitalizing on this new brand. It's an upstart brand. It's an unendorsed brand when you talk about government endorsements, but still in Edmonton. I bought a T-shirt myself. I'm proud to wear it. It's tongue-in-cheek because it says a couple of things, doesn't it? On one hand, somewhat self-deprecating.
Sure.
Still in Edmonton.
Yeah.
On another hand, very proud. still in Edmonton.
Yeah, that's very true.
People believe that head offices can still be in Edmonton. People believe that you can be at the top of your talent game, regardless of what you do, and still be in Edmonton. And that, to me, is a more genuine expression of how Edmontonians feel about their city. Myself personally, as a radio broadcaster, I don't need to be in Toronto or Vancouver to feel validated about my skill or ability, right? I mean, Charles Adler hosted his nationally syndicated show out of Winnipeg for many years because that was home for him. I don't think Chuck felt like he had to go to Toronto to have arrived as a broadcaster. So is it risky to stay in Edmonton? Is that a risk-taking maneuver?
No.
I would suspect that probably at one point a lot of people thought staying in Edmonton, you're maybe giving up. You're not fighting for that next step, because we thought for the longest time that you needed to go to Vancouver, you needed to go to Toronto. I can remember when all my TV friends are like, "Come to Vancouver, come to Vancouver." Why would I want to live in Vancouver?
Yeah, that's true. I was always told to go
that.
to Toronto
but
if I
you know
wanted to
what?
have a good comedy career.
That T-shirt, Ryan Jesperson, is a hell of a lot better for me than Dedmonton. Hearing Dedmonton
sure.
over and over and over again, and that's all I heard when I moved here 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Don't hear it so much anymore.
See, I have no
but people capitalize on it with Deadfest and things like that, right?
For sure. I have no problem with a positive affirmation type message, but I just don't think that one's accurate. So I mean, if we said, and people can put on the side of the building whatever they want, it's their building, but maybe something like Edmonton, we're not done yet, or Edmonton, we haven't decided.
Still rebuilding?
Why are we obsessed with slogans, though? You know,
I don't know.
Why not just put up allow an Edmonton artist to put something up? Hey, here's 1,000 square feet of blank wall, and it's yours to do whatever you'd like.
We should, because there's a grant for that. You can definitely. I mean, there's lots of grants available for artwork in both at city level, provincial level, and federal level. So they could have actually made money on that.
I don't know if you two watch the Amazing Race, Canada.
A little bit.
It's not. I saw a few moments of it. They were in Jasper. They were just down in Calgary, and Calgary's mayor Naheed Nenshi was participating in the show, handing out the envelopes, whatever you call them, and every time he was throwing out Calgary's new slogan. And Calgary's always changing up its slogans, but now it's Feel the Energy. So every time the mayor would hand out an envelope, he'd say, "Welcome to Calgary, feel the energy."
That's
Welcome to
almost
Calgary,
creepy,
feel the energy. Yeah, and before that, it was the heart of the New West, or the New West begins here, or something like that. Or Calgary's always it's rolled out about a new slogan, let's say every 3 years or so. I mean, do slogans do anything?
No, particularly when they're not accurate. I mean, then she should be handing it out with his slogan should be, "I didn't know they were filming. I didn't know they were filming."
I don't know. It's just the whole marketing of cities to me. Austin has Keep Austin Weird, but it works because Austin is truly weird. It's off kilter. It's wonderful. It's unique. It's different than what people have experienced before, and probably different from what people would expect to see in Texas. Right? So the slogan works, but the slogan, we say what begat what. I don't think Austin got weird when they dreamed up the slogan.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what this comes down to. You can't nickname yourself. That's what it comes down to. As individuals, you can't, and as cities, you can't. I can't tell you guys that moving forward, I want to be referred to as T-Bone. That's just, you just can't do that. And that's what feels wrong about it. If Edmonton gets this, if we start collectively as Edmontonians, like K-Days, when K-Days was Klondike Days, we all called it K-Days. That's why going back to K-Days actually kind of made sense. Most people referred to it as that anyway. So the nickname just organically happened. But when you say, no, now it's capital X, nobody accepted it. It's the same principle.
I have watched this debate through my entire career of 25 years of being in broadcasting. I started my career in Thunder Bay, and that's when they were debating whether or not to change the slogan of the city. I can't remember what the initial slogan of the city is now, but I still remember what it's called. It's Superior by Nature. And for me, that was beautiful. Like Superior by nature, all that
totally
sort of Superior by Nature. But I sat through council meeting after council meeting after council meeting, people fighting over this, and the alderman just got, I was like, really? What is it? What is it? Why do we put so much stock in this 5 little words that are not going to define everybody? It's not going to define an entire city.
I think because
Except for
maybe
City of
where we
Champions.
live defines so much of our identity. And so when you're trying to define the identity of that defines yours, then maybe you want to have a say in it. Maybe you want to feel like you nailed it. You want to have the most perfect slogan, the most clever slogan. You know, I mean, that's why so many people thought that Wild Rose Country just was such a crappy way to sell ourselves to the rest of Canada on our license plates. You know, beautiful British Columbia.
Yes.
Or what was Manitoba's? Friendly Manitoba.
Friendly Manitoba.
I never went until they changed it to friendly.
No,
I
'cause you
didn't
wondered,
know.
like,
how am I
Is
going
it
to get treated?
unfriendly? Right. I
Is
had
it
no idea.
hostile?
As soon as they made it friendly, I was like, I'm going there.
Yeah.
I want to go to a friendly
Saskatchewan
place.
is what, land
Saskatchewan?
of the living skies?
And I thought that meteorologists would actually flip out at that because, as they tell you in broadcasting school, there is only one sky. There's no such thing as cloudy skies.
That's true.
There is only one.
That's right.
So perhaps Land of Living Sky would have been better, but I digress because slogans aren't supposed to matter, are they? One of the other areas that David Staples raised eyebrows in his column was when he wrote, "Our focus is cutting down on risk, not taking it." And then here's where he doubled down. "We put up a tall and massive fence across the span of the high-level bridge to prevent suicide attempts. We must take off our shoes and throw away our shampoo to board a plane. We can't go to a pro hockey game without going through a metal detector." I suppose we have to define exactly what we mean by talking about risks and taking risks.
Right. So he's referring to what we do in Edmonton, but what's also done all around the world. The same as I'm suggesting that
As
taking
safety
risk.
measures.
Yeah. Taking risk is as much an Edmonton thing as it is a Portage La Prairie thing. I mean, really.
He talks about wearing helmets on bicycles and being aware of other kids' peanut allergies and what sandwiches you send with your kids to school. But there has to be a common sense element, too. I mean, being a risk taker doesn't imply that you're, you know, with respect, and I don't want to joke about the epidemic of suicides on the high-level bridge, but it doesn't mean that we don't take measures to protect society from itself.
Sure. So the mural should read, Edmonton. What does it read now, right now? Home of risk takers?
It says, take a risk. It's the most Edmonton thing you can do.
And then just add the line with limitations, obviously.
With an asterisk.
Yeah.
The most Canadian thing you could do.
Yeah, please go to our website and read our disclaimer.
What about Edmonton? Prudent, practical, and responsible.
What about Edmonton?
Edmonton, safety first.
Wear your helmet.
Yeah, Edmonton, watch out for the potholes.
I would love to see Edmonton's artists, or Alberta artists for that matter, given an opportunity to work and do what they would with open space. And I know there are grants available, and I know there are examples of this happening, and I know that there are murals that are popping up and inspiring people around the city, but the art debate goes further. We're talking about usable art, or, you know, art that will inspire people, draw people to things like transit stations. And having to point out, you know, when we look at developers and what they're pitching, the big towers that are going up in Old Strathcona and north of the river as well, the installation, that 1% of expenditure that the city's had in place since the early 1990s that expect money to be spent on public art. And of course, it spawns a healthy debate on what qualifies
We don't have time for that
as
conversation
art
today.
I love the Talistome. I'm just saying it. I love the balls on the bridge. I do. I think they're beautiful.
Edmonton, we got balls.
Well, there you have it.
Boom.
The CFL led the charge with that. Our balls are bigger.
Yeah.
That's right.
And why did they walk away from it?
I don't know. I like that
It
one.
was un-Canadian. It was too much bravado. It wasn't humble enough.
Yeah. We have big balls. Sorry.
Perhaps that was it. Sorry, we didn't mean to offend. Sorry. Okay, we'll just go back to the CFL. Our fields are wider. Jalen Nye, it's always good to connect with you. Thank
Yes,
you.
my friend, thank you.
T-Bone, always a pleasure.
Thank you for remembering that.
Adric Gross and Jalen Nye host the afternoon news on 6:30 CHED. You can hear me from 9 to noon. Thanks for tuning in to the announcers here on 6:30 CHED.